Lindsay is writing first class on the Hot Mess Express.
You're giving me WAP. I'm loving that. I want to be a cat when I die.
You okay?
What's her name? I mean, really, she's been missing.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Taste of Reality. My name is Queenie for those who don't know me, and we're reviewing Married at First Sight season 14 episode 1. I was going to do a video for matchmaking special. I actually did do it. I just never posted it. And I'm glad I didn't because we basically went through all of it all over again in today's episode. So we're just going to jump right in. Before I do, please make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and let's start the review. I'm going to tell y'all right now, save your comments on the bonnet. The video's already filmed. There's nothing I can do about it, okay? It is currently 11:40 p.m. You'll be all right. I found it interesting how they still like to advertise like there's this rigorous matchmaking process. I'm like, babe, you're putting your budget in the wrong things. They upped their production. I mean, look at these single shots of all the quote unquote, quote unquote. Child, you know what I mean. Look at these stills of these like talking heads of the experts. I'm like, so y'all could pay money for production, but y'all can't pay money for a proper matchmaking algorithm. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So the first couple match is Mark and Lindsay. They are both outgoing, high energy, and nurturers. Mark himself is actually a caretaker of his mother and his grandmother. He did apply back in, I forget the year, but for the first Boston season, I think it was season 7. And the experts at that time felt like he wasn't quite ready to be married. But now they think, you know, with time and his current life situation, maybe he's in a better place to be a husband. Unfortunately for him, back then, both his parents and his grandmother would have been able to attend, but life changed for him drastically in 2019.
My dad, he had cancer in his lungs, liver, pancreas, esophagus. And he passed in 5 weeks. My mom is in rehab because she can't take care of herself physically. My grandmother's 96 in a nursing home with dementia and doesn't know really who I am anymore.
So mock the shock. I feel like I need to put a New Yorker accent on it. Mock the shock. He comes from a good family. He says he was always a good boy, and you know, things changed because of family circumstances, but he always wanted to emulate the family that he was raised in. He is at the table with his friends, and the friends are like, so, you know, we know you love your mom, we know you love your grandmother, and I'm sure a lot of women would think that that's admirable until they actually are a part of your life and really see how overwhelming the situation can be. And the good thing is that Lindsay is a nurse. She is no stranger to being a caretaker, so she's definitely going to resonate with that when it comes to him. And I think it could work. It is very unfortunate that illness did plague his family in this way, but being that she's in healthcare, you know, she would completely be understanding of the caretaking aspect of it, and then also the personal warfare that he could be going through in having to deal with that. And also his father passing was just a few years ago, so I'm sure that's still a sore subject for him. For her, she is very family oriented. She does have a tumultuous relationship with her mother, but her father and her brother are very supportive of her. She was in a long-term relationship that unfortunately ended abruptly, and even though it ended in that negative way, she's still open to love, open to build a family. Like, I honestly, of all the people who apply to the show, I think the ones who have the greatest success are the ones who are genuinely open. Like, she gave 2 stipulations when it came to physicality: no baby teeth and no belly. And I think she meant it too. Like, she really was like, if he doesn't have those things, I think we're going to be just fine. So seeing her being so open, seeing her, you know, acknowledge her pitfalls. She understands that she's a hard lover. She loves hard, she loves fast, and sometimes it's too much for people. She accepts that she's not going to be for everyone, and that's okay.
I know I'm not for everybody, but frankly, I'm a needle in a haystack. Like what's the worst thing that can happen? I'm still not married.
Her family does warn her to think before she speaks. She has a tendency of being unfiltered and might hurt somebody's feelings without intending to. But overall, I'm liking her. I'm liking Lindsay. She's a little bit hectic. just a little bit hectic. But aren't we all? Up next, we have Olajuwon and Tina. Olajuwon's family is so supportive. And I love this because I'm so tired of season after season, like all of these like negative tropes coming from the family, these negative, especially from the Black people. I'm like, why are we painting this negative trope over Black people? I don't like that. But this season, there was a lot of positivity, and I was very happy to see that. He acknowledges that in the past, he hadn't been the best person, and he's done the work in order to be a married man.
When it comes to love, he never wanted to know what love means. And he was living in the moment. I'm not that person anymore, so that's why I took almost 2 years to develop who I wanted to be and find out my true identity.
So he is a mama's boy, and his father did pass when he was young. Even though he didn't have his father for all his life, he does remember his house being filled with love. Unfortunately, they were not married, and he thinks that marriage would help him reach his full potential. Those are his words. I'm like, full potential. Okay, so if it doesn't work, do you feel like, I don't know, that's another suitcase to unpack another day. But he wants to achieve his greatest potential by being married and creating a life that he didn't have. His parents weren't married. The dad left. The dad passed away early. However, marriage wasn't, what they subscribe to. So he wants that. The good thing is his partner, Tina, also wants to be married. She's done with the party life. She's done with being single, and she wants to settle down and build a family. So Tina learned in her past few relationships actually that she was the other woman. And now she kind of carries this trauma with her of constantly looking over her shoulder, wondering, is there someone else on the picture? Am I being cheated on? Can we just leave cheating? Can we stop? Can we respect people? Like, oh my gosh, like, I can't stand a cheater. But anyways, she is also in a similar situation in terms of not having her father in her life. Her situation is because of incarceration. He was incarcerated very young to very recently, I think. I think he's out. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's out. The reality is still that he just wasn't around in her upbringing. So she wants a family like that. Her friends are a little bit skeptical, mainly because they wonder how she's going to be able to be vulnerable knowing the past that she has in relationships.
I'm just so used to like kind of protecting myself. Like when I date somebody, I don't know if you have like 5 other girls. So with this, I think I have to tell myself like, it's okay for you to let yourself like fall for this person like 100%.
I honestly feel like her and Ola can work as long as he provides her with the assurance that he's not the guy that he used to be, because she's going to find that out, and that he's going to be here for the long run. In a lot of cases, the reason why people are scared of relationships is, people find something better. People are thinking, if this doesn't work out, I'm just going to leave, So if you have somebody there who's already committed to being here for the long run, that's one obstacle you don't have to worry about. If Ola is really, really, really here, true, like for real, I think this is going to work too. I'm going to go into this season being completely naive because every time I'm like skeptical, I feel like it's fulfilling prophecy. So I'm going to come in with optimism, okay? I think they're going to work. I don't even know if I believe myself. Next up, we have Noy and Steve. Steve is the last of his mother's children, I'm pretty sure, to get married. And honestly, I'm going to have to be a little bit vain for a second here. I don't know why. He's beautiful. He's an attractive man. He's educated. He seems put together. I mean, sir, what's going on?
Did you ever think that he would get married?
I hoped he would get married, but getting a little older, I wasn't sure if that would happen.
Were you expecting me to live in a van by the river?
You kind of did do that.
So yes, he is unemployed, but it's COVID, okay? A lot of people were displaced out of work, out of housing, out of all kinds of things due to this freaking pandemic that we're still in. I can't stand this life right now. We're not talking about me. And so he took 4 months to just travel, explore himself. And he says that he does freelance work here and there. And as long as not as long as, but as soon as he finds something that fits what he wants to do for a long-term career, he's going to hop back into his career. But he's not at a loss of finances. He made that clear in the matchmaking special. So I'm going to reiterate it here again. He comes from a family that actually has already had arranged marriages, so he believes in it, he's seen it work, and he's optimistic for it to work in his favor as well. Noy describes herself as a hopeless romantic. I mean, the woman has flown across the Atlantic for love. She's fallen in love in, what was it? I feel like it was Europe or something, I don't remember. And then again in France or something. Is France in Europe, child? Okay. I'm showing that I'm horrible at geography. I think it's in France. Is in Europe. France, Europe, France. I know somebody's gonna be like, this girl's an idiot. Okay, whatever. But she's so open to love that she rides the high of the romanticism of it all, and then it fizzles out, and then she's, single again. So she's tired of being so gung-ho, in love, all of the butterflies, and then it disappears. In her personal life, she did come from nothing. Her family was living in a refugee camp when she was young. They moved to America with very few resources, but through all the hardship, her parents' love grew. Their whole, what's the word? I want to say empire, but I feel like that's played out. We're going to use it for lack of a better term. They built their empire together, even through adversity. So through watching her parents, she feels like although the process is unconventional, although sometimes there's like a lack of seeing the hope in love, she's still hopeful because of what she's witnessed.
I just think about all the things that they lived through, and I'm like I want that too.
Yeah, love it's everything.
It's everything. It's worth all of this craziness.
I know.
Her friends are also a little bit skeptical, but they feel like she's had a good model of what love, family, relationships, hardship looks like, and she'll be able to apply that in her relationships. Noy, to me, I don't want to make the comparison because they're both Asian, but she does remind me a lot about Bao, somebody who's been through a lot, somebody who did not let adversity hold her back, somebody who is quiet but also knows how to come out of her shell when she needs to, who seems compromising in relationships to an extent. I see a lot of similarities between her and Bao. Now, will the same outcome happen? I don't know. Let's hope not. Up next is Michael and Jasmina. Jasmina's family was the least expressive, the least excited when it came to hearing about this news. Jasmina does come from a big family. Some siblings she knows, some siblings she doesn't, but she has seen love flourish through. It really is her stepmom, but she considers that to be her mother. She has a history of dating men who are emotionally unavailable. She had one guy have a baby on her. The ultimate disrespect. It's giving Tristan Thompson, okay? But I low-key feel like Chloe deserved it, but that's a topic for another day. So because she comes from a big family, she wants to model a certain type of love to her younger sisters. She wants to show them that true love is still attainable. And everybody's basically on board beside Mama. Mama's like, I don't know who this man is.
I want to go in with an optimistic attitude, but at the end of the day, I don't know him. I don't want your heart to be broken. I do not want her hurt.
Of course, that's a story with most people who come on the show. The family is going to be very skeptical because it is still a stranger. For Michael, though, the sisters are very ecstatic. Yeah, it's definitely midnight. The sisters are very ecstatic. The thing for me that works in Michael's favor is the fact that he was raised in a house of women. I feel like guys raised around women have more insight on women's needs, insight on just being in tune with a woman, like how she moves, how she acts, and all these things. I feel like that's, you know, always a positive. And it shows in the way that he's able to be accountable for himself. He admits to not being the best partner in the past because he was unable to be vulnerable. He said this in the matchmaking special that all the women he dated had great potential and that he was at fault for why the relationships didn't pan out. So now he feels like he's done the work. He's in a better place to be an adequate partner for someone. And to touch on accountability again, he calls his brother and his brother calls him out a little bit.
What do you think is the main thing that I need to like work on when it comes to having a wife?
One is being able to compromise. Have I seen enough of you being experienced with that to that extent? No.
Again, love the accountability from the family, love the excitement from the family. I feel like both Michael and Jasmina's family are excited but objective and supportive at the same time. I do feel like they will have a great support system, and if they find some contention between them, the family is going to help them in a good way. And I bring this up because last season, when I think of Michaela, I felt like some of her family was enabling her. Same with Chris. They were enabling his behavior. That's even the season before that. So with them, they acknowledge that, hey, you need help here, here, and here, and we're going to call you out, but it's all in love. You know what I mean? I'm hopeful for these two too. These ones I'm actually hopeful about. Like, for real, for real. Last up, we have Alyssa and Chris. And I have this weird thing where I feel like couples who favor each other aesthetically have a higher likelihood of matching or like staying together. I don't know if you guys like have ever thought about that, but when I look at couples and they look like each other, I'm like, yeah, they're gonna last. It's a weird thought, but I have this thought. Chris describes himself as a serial monogamist. He's been in a series of long-term relationships, yet for some reason they don't work out. I feel like the reason is he loves relationships, but doesn't really know what it takes to be in a relationship. Here's why I say that. He was talking about, you know, like, I'm the type of guy who goes for what he wants. If I see a cute girl at the bar, it really doesn't matter what it is about her. Like, our values don't really match or whatever. If I like her, I go for her. If I think she's pretty, I go for her. But then in 6 months, he looks back at the experience and he's like, oh, I wasted our time. And then when he talks about marriage too, it's like he wants a picture perfect marriage, which isn't necessarily, like that doesn't necessarily correlate with a healthy relationship.
I would want a relationship with my future wife to be one that other people look at and say, look at them, they're clearly incredibly happy, I want that.
I just hope he knows that aesthetics aren't everything. You guys can look good together. You guys can look like the perfect couple. But if the qualities that make you suitable for each other are not there, it's not gonna work, okay? Come on, Chris. Alyssa rescues animals and she wants somebody who's also in love with animals. Chris has a whole cage and toys and food for a dog that he does not own. He does not have a dog, yet he has prepped his house for a dog. So she'll be fine. So even though if you look at her friend group, you would literally think that they are the Kardashians, their voices are very irritating. I'm so sorry, but they're very irritating. She is a country girl at heart and she's ready to settle down. She's tired of looking through countless men's profiles, dating here and there, and not finding her perfect match.
After me and my ex broke up, I had gone on so many dates, and like not one person is anything that I'm looking for. It was like a pattern, it seemed like. In her last relationship, she was also at the cusp of marriage and her relationship ended abruptly. So now she's hoping that she finds a partner that's gonna stick around for the long haul. Now we're gonna move on to the meetups between the guys and the ladies. Off the bat, Lindsay and Mark are commanding the attention in both rooms. And I'm like, these two, it could either be sparks flying or a dumpster fire. You know, when there's two very strong personalities, somebody has to fall back sometimes. And I don't know if either of them are even capable
of falling back. So we're going to have to see how that pans out. The topic of attraction comes up, and I loved that this season there wasn't an emphasis on, well, if I'm not attracted to her, if she's an Instagram model, Instagram baddie, all of that foolishness, they actually put the attractiveness on themselves. They were saying some of their worries are them not being up to par to what their partner desires. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you. This is refreshing to hear. The conversation then shifted to talking about consummating the marriage. Most of the women were like, I don't know about first night. Like, I don't know about all that. While the guys, obviously, come on, guys being guys, they were mostly all for it, except for Ola.
That's all I've been doing. So sexual relations, I don't even care for that right now. And this is the first time in a long time I'm really gonna try to get to know somebody. So mentally, I think I might judge her, and I don't know. I just don't know how I would feel.
Steve also says he's willing to wait because he sees longevity when it comes to marriage. So he has no problem with waiting it out. Problem for him is that Noy is ready to jump her husband's bones. She doesn't even know who he is. And sis is ready. She's ready. So Steve, you might not have to wait that long. Then I'm going to fast forward to the bachelorette parties. Olajuwon is savoring his last day of singledom. Watch this. Look at this man. Look at this man. Look at this man. He is savoring it. And honestly, this might be his last wild night because his wife, Tina, is not about the freak life.
I'm just not into, like, that whole, like, no, you're not gonna no, we're not doing all that.
Like I said about Noy earlier, she's giving us the vibe. She was the quiet girl, but now she's coming out of her shell, being the life of the party. I mean, she's a vibe. She's a vibe. I absolutely love her. Jasmina is another one who's also very expressive. She's excited. She's, being a part of the crew, part of the family. And then you have her husband, Michael, who's literally having an existential crisis.
I'm trying to stay positive, but right now I'm overthinking. My brain is just thinking about every single scenario and how it can go right and how it can go wrong.
You think it's fear, or do you think it's
100% fear. To be vulnerable with somebody, 100%.
Again, the introspection. This is not the time, but I love it still. I just, chef's kiss. Please don't let me down, Michael. Please don't let me down. Because let me go into a tiny, tiny, tiny rant right here. I need a black man to root for. Okay? I need a black man to root for. Last season, there was sort of kind of Gil, but sometimes he would let me down. Before that, we couldn't root for Chris. We couldn't root for Zach. I mean, I'm tired. I need a black man to root for, okay? Okay. We are going to skip the wedding dress purchasing and the suit. It's too much, okay? Mark and Lindsay are the first to get married. And like I mentioned before, the first time he applied, his dad would have been alive. His mom would have been able to attend. Same with the grandmother. Lindsay's mother is also not going to be in attendance. But she's comforted by her father, her friends, and her champagne.
Yeah. Oops. Does you need more? Yeah, here. There you go. Remember, first impressions are everything. You just said that's 2 bottles of champagne to go.
Even with all the drinks that she's consumed, it seems like her and Mark are catching a vibe between each other. They have the same kind of banter. She is a lot more talkative than he is. But I think he has a tendency to be the same when he's been liquored up too. So it's only because she's a little tipsy, But so far, it seems like, the attraction is mutual. She has no complaints. He has no complaints. The conversation is flowing. And we'll have to see what stems from this. The next episode, I think they're going to cover the rest of the marriages. They better. Because y'all, we're not going to have us sitting here for 3 hours for the next episode to only be 2 weddings. I will not have it. All right, y'all, that is the end of the first episode recap / review. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on this episode, this season. Who are you rooting for? Who are you skeptical of? And I'll see you guys in the next one.